One of the problems with gaslighting is that it sets you up to consistently second guess yourself. And if you grow up in a household where gaslighting and outright lying is a regular occurrence, it will impact the way that you interact with other people. It'll impact the way that you interrogate things that other people say. And the result of that will be that you will let people get away with lying to you as you do this like positive projection thing. So, hey, if you're new, thanks so much for joining. My name is Vantage Point, and this is Managing My Own Radical Change. And this series is Trauma to Transformation, Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. And as I am doing my daily studying and just like, okay, getting some things under my understanding about what narcissistic abuse looks like, and thinking about the way gaslighting works, and thinking about how when several people are ganging up to help your narcissist abuser gaslight you, it plays into how you develop and have relationships later on in life. So welcome again. And for those of you that are, been hanging with me since episode 1, since the trailer, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I want to talk about positive projection. I'm going to talk about positive projection. And if you are unfamiliar with positive projection, it's basically the opposite of negative projection. Negative projection is like, okay, you are a liar, and you know that you lie all the time about everything. It's something that you do. You've been getting away with it ever since you was a kid, and you still do it now. And because you lie all the time about everything, even things that are insignificant and unimportant, you just think other people do too. So somebody says to you, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I was late. There was traffic. You're like, whatever, she fucking lying. It wasn't no traffic. She just left at the last minute because it wasn't important to her. Now, that is not true. You don't know what the other person is thinking, but that's what you would have did. So you are projecting that onto somebody else. So the way positive projection is, I'm loyal, I'm honest, I'm always going to do to people better than they could possibly imagine how I would treat them. So, for example, you come over my house, I am making the bathroom, I'm making your room look like a damn 5-star hotel. I'm going to have tea. I'm going to have, whatever wine or, type of little beverage that you might like. If you're a kombucha person like me, I'm going to, have your favorite items so that I can cook your favorite breakfast. Like, I'm going to actually, set it out for you, because not only that's how I would want it for myself, but because I just feel like, I don't know, if I want something nice, I like things to be nice. And from my experience traveling to different places around the world, a 5-star hotel is a very nice experience. And maybe I can't replicate that, with the level of products, because, maybe it's not a $7,500 dollar bottle of hand cream or whatever. Maybe it's only an $80 bottle of hand cream, or thing of hand cream. But I'm still going to make it nice. I'm still going to put in the energy and effort to just make a lovely experience, because that's how I try to live my life. And why would I, want to invite somebody to my home and not give them what I would want for myself? Like, I remember when I was a newer type of mom, and I remember buying something for my daughter, and somebody was saying, you bought that for her? I'm like, well, if I do it for myself, why wouldn't I do it for her? Right? Or like when I started taking my daughter to get, manicures, like not every day, all the time or something, but she was little, and people were like, oh my God, I can't believe you take your daughter to get a manicure. Why not? If I get manicures every now and then, why can't she get one? Like, it's not like, it's a nice to have, right? So I'm a person that likes to do things that are nice. They might be extra or whatever. It's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. I assume, right, that other people want to do nice stuff and be nice to me. And that has got me in a lot of trouble. It's got me in a lot of relationships with people who don't like me. And I'm using that kind of people who don't like me term to really, start to hone in on what do those behaviors look like when people don't like us. How do people respond when they don't like us? Well, number one, they are dismissive of our needs, right? Or of our concerns or of the things we say. So I remember I was on a trip one time and I was in Asia, and it was a person that I was in a relationship with, and they were in the East Coast at the time. And they kept on calling me at all hours where I was asleep. So they would call me like 4 a.m. And they were calling me at like 2 a.m. And they were calling me at like 11 p.m. Like, they were calling me at like all these late ass hours. And then when I talked to the person numerous times, I said, I answered the phone because I thought it was an emergency. Don't you have your phone set? Don't you know what time it is here? And then she was like, oh, well, I just thought you were up. Well, I wasn't up, but I didn't put my phone on silent because I'm in another country. And just in case my daughter, who's a young adult, calls me, I'll be able to answer.
And what's funny is this is the same exact person who made such a big deal out of our birthdays being close together but yet on my birthday for the past 2 years, they didn't call me and wish me happy birthday, and didn't even mention it until like, 6 or 7 days after. And then was like, oh, charge it to the head, not the heart. It's the same thing. You actually knew when my birthday was, but because you whatever, right? I'm not fulfilling your needs, or your other supply is doing what you need, or whatever. You can just ignore me and act like it's not happening, or treat me like what? Look, I'm good. I am good. Um, and the gaslighting that narcissists try to do about the way they treat you is really, really crazy. And so what has to happen is you have to be a person that is so good and okay with yourself that it doesn't matter how other people treat you. Like, basically, you have to be so okay with yourself that if somebody is like treating you crazy, or not giving you the respect that you want, or not giving you the love or the attention or whatever it is that you need, that you are able to speak up for yourself, that you're able to be like, no, I'm good. And if you can't speak up because you're going to get gaslit, then the thing to do is to disengage. And I'm going to tell you, the narc uh, abuse recovery clinical folks out here, the ones with the PhDs and stuff, they're going to tell you, disengage, because you can't win with a narc. You can't win. It's nothing. Look, Michael Jackson said, you can win, child. You can't get out of the game. Listen, you can't win with a narcissist. So your only strategy with the narcissist is to save yourself, is to become familiar with all their little tricks, all their characteristics, all their shit. Become as familiar as possible with it so that you don't become a victim to it. Because the narcs, like that the dark skinned brother out there say, the narcs be out there narking. The narcs be out there narking. All right. It's a guy on TikTok. I don't know his name, but he say the narcs be out there narking. And so the only way to protect yourself, right, is to understand what the characteristics and traits look like. But then the thing beyond protection is the healing from the abuse. And that's the part that I'm going to tell you the truth, right? Thanks to my friend, she helped me really see it. That's the stuff that we're not doing. We out here telling people how to heal. We out here giving people tips and tricks. Listen, mea culpa. I'm talking to myself, and we hadn't been doing the work. And I'm gonna tell you, it took a really smart friend of mine to tell me, to get me to see what I needed to do. It took a really smart friend of mine to help me see, oh, I haven't really dug into all that bullshit of my past because I never had time. I'm either working a job, I'm either trying to, put food on the table, trying to pay mortgage, trying to pay rent, trying to pay car insurance, trying to pay tuition for my kid, trying to do this, trying to do that. So it's like, okay, well, where's the time? Where is the time to do any of this stuff? Oh, duh, there is none. Why? Because it's not meant for us to have the time. It's not meant. It's not meant, right? We are supposed to be struggling. We're supposed to be suffering. We're supposed to be not paying bills or worried about paying bills. We're supposed to be, like struggling. That's what they want. And so when we get in our own, sense of self and we're like, oh, yeah, no, no, no. That's not the life I'm at. That's not where I'm going. That takes healing to get there. Now, if we don't take the time to say, okay, well, here's the shit that I got to heal from. I got to heal from childhood trauma. I have to heal from, relationship trauma, like intimate relationship trauma. I have to heal from, workplace trauma. I have to heal from very specific racialized trauma. I have to heal from gender trauma. Like, we have to give ourselves the time and space to heal. Like, we have to do it. And if we don't do it, then we're not going to be able to make no kind of progress in none of the shit that we out here talking about. It's not even going to make a difference because at the end of the day, we not showing up in all of our self-awareness. We not showing up with an understanding of how our triggers, get tripped. Like, triggers trip our trauma. And do you know what you get triggered by? So I have all this domestic trauma from the house. My mom used to beat the crap out of me. Beat me to clean the kitchen. Beat me if it was a drop of water on the floor. Beat me if it was grease. The pan wasn't clean. The back of the pan had grease on it. Like, all kind of like really, really, really ridiculous stuff. Like, just really ridiculous. Like, ridiculous. And I had to get to the point for myself where as a child, I realized, okay, my mom, she got problems. This lady is nuts because she beating the shit out of me for what? Like, this ain't blah, blah, blah. I ain't no bad kid. Like, it was a lot. And the gaslighting from other people, not about that I deserved it, but that it wasn't nothing wrong with it, or that, oh, well, that's just your mom, and you know how she is, and oh, like the gaslighting. So what happens with the negative or with the positive projection and the gaslighting, the link to it is that you end up gaslighting yourself and projecting how you would treat people on the other people. So, like, for me, right? I'll use therapy as an example because I have a long history of therapy, and I'm okay with therapy. Like I enjoy therapy. I appreciate therapy. I see tremendous value in therapy. But my qualms with therapy is the therapist always trying to make you go back to work. They just trying to get you to go back to work. They just trying to get you to, go back to work because you can't ever say, they not allowed to tell you, well, you need to quit that damn job, right? Because they getting paid from the insurance from the job. So they not going to tell you quit the damn job and, blah, blah, blah. No, they going to tell you go back to work and do this and do that and blah, blah. That's what they going to tell you to do because that's what they get paid to do. They get paid to bandage you up and take you back to work, just like a hospital, right? A hospital gets paid to bandage you up so that you go back to work. And until that paradigm changes, that's what it's going to be. And so the only thing we get to do when it comes to what other people try to decide for us is the things that they do, right? Is the things that they want. So when it comes to these narcissistic people, right? And these narcissistic relationships, recognizing that in their minds, it's all about them. Recognizing that in their minds, we are a utility to them at every age. So as a kid, we their utility for, oh, how cute. Oh, she's so pretty. She sees this. Oh, he's so handsome. I was in the airport and this was kind of really shocking. Not shocking. It was annoying as the word. It wasn't shocking. But I was in Philly, so I was slightly surprised. Because Philly is a black city, right? Philly's a black city. Baltimore is a black city. Um, Boston's a black city. Um, Chicago's a black city. Atlanta's a black city. And these different black cities are black in different ways, right? Atlanta is, in the South, so it makes sense that it's a black city. Um, right? There's other cities in the South that's not necessarily black, like black cities, right? Greensboro's a black city. Um, but like for sure, Philly is a big black city. And this lady comes up to a lady who has, some different multiracial kids, right? And she goes up to the one that is looking like the actress Zendaya. She goes up to the Zendaya looking girl and starts raving and raving about how pretty she is, and raving about how pretty she is. It was actually quite disgusting, because it was so like colorist, and it was so fetishizing. It was just fetishy. Maybe I'll say fetishy. It was just ugh. It was just gross. Um, and it was like the kids didn't look no better than the rest of the kids. They all looked like a combination of that lady that was with them that looked like the mother, and the guy that was with them that looked like he probably was the dad. The kids wasn't no exceptional beauties. I don't think Zendaya is exceptionally beautiful. She just got that racial ambiguous look that makes white people comfortable with black people. If we got, oh yeah, pasta tastes good. If we are racially ambiguous, they like that shit. They like it. Um, but it's also narcissistic, right? You're entitled to walk up to a strange kid that you don't even fucking know and make comments and do a whole ass thing because you're a white lady and you could get away with that shit. You would get away with it. If a black person went up to some white kids and started doing all that and touching them, that family would probably be like, bitch, get the fuck back. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe not. But I don't know any black people that would go up to a white kid in a white family and start fetishizing their child, talking about their appearance. I don't know any black people that would do that. And when I was a new parent, especially when people used to come up to me and tell me, first of all, people used to ask me the most disgusting shit. Is that your daughter? And I used to be looking at them like, yeah. They're like, oh, or they would say, oh my goodness, she's stunning, she's so gorgeous. Okay, and people walk up to me and say the same thing. I don't get it. Um, I don't know why people feel the need to do it. I don't need to go up to anybody and tell them that they look good. Now, if somebody got on a really nice outfit, I might say something. It's a likelihood I might say, hey, I like your outfit. But they have to be really, it would have to be a knockout outfit in order for me to say it. It would have to be a knockout outfit. Like something that like, oh my God, or a beautiful banging color. And I'd be screaming out, hey, go ahead, orange. Go ahead, yellow. Or some shit like that, right? Um, but beyond that, like to not I don't know, to just fetishize a stranger on the street, that's a lot. That's a lot. And me personally, I'm not into it. I don't like it. I didn't appreciate it. Um, but it was what it was. It demonstrated a level of narcissism. You are entitled to walk up to a stranger that you don't even know and touch the child, right? And make comments about the child. And how do you know how those comments that you made or whatever, how they could potentially impact other people? Like the other kids that was there. Maybe them other kids that's a little darker or a little more whatever, have some kind of whatever because they sister is always getting complimented by weird ass strangers that feel like that's their place in the world to make comments about this child when it doesn't matter. And the kid just was looking regular. Like I look, cause I had to stop. Like the kid just looked regular. She had on shorts, a t-shirt, and some sneakers. She had a little backpack or something, or some kind of bag with her. This was not some exceptional looking kid. Nothing. It just was a regular day, a regular kid, people at the airport, right? But this lady, again, like I said, she's entitled to do that, right? Um, entitled to literally stop everything, the action at the airport, to remark on this lady's kids. Come on, lady. It wasn't worth that. And again, this wasn't no girl that had some kind of look that was like, so, oh my God, I never saw a child look this like this before. Nothing like that. It was just a regular chick, a regular little girl, and a regular day in a regular airport, but whatever. So we get gaslit, right? Into believing certain things. We get gaslit into the behaviors that people expect of us. We get gaslit out of our experiences. Gaslighting is so common and so prevalent that literally, if you accuse somebody of gaslighting you, then the next thing you know, they're saying, well, you're gaslighting me. No, no, no. Gaslighting is so distinct of a thing. Oh, trust me, we get gaslit a lot. A perfect example is like the stuff that our government does. Perfect example. They got a lot of us thinking a lot of things that absolutely are not true. They got us believing things work a certain way, and it's absolutely not true. It's a lot of bullshit that that's going on. And they utilize manipulation, gaslighting, lies, and a whole bunch of other strategies and tactics to keep it going, right? Um, and we know, but we feel a lot of times, right, that we don't have a lot of choices. We feel a lot of times that, like, well, what are we going to do? This is just how it is. And so the way we feel, the way we think, those things limit us. That's why I talk about our mindset and being able to really have a mindset towards those things that are important to us. To really have, you know, a mindset that is going to take you in the direction of, okay, these are the things. I need some ginger in here. These some things you're trying to accomplish, right? I need some ginger in my curry chickpeas. Like these are some things that you're trying to accomplish. And when you are being gaslit and manipulated, lied to, and everything else, it makes it very hard. It makes it very hard. And so what I want to offer to people is I want to offer the idea that it's not your fault, right? I want to offer the idea that, you know, you're out here doing the best that you can. If you're doing the best you can, that's all you can do. And to tell you that part of doing the best you can, part of it is this healing piece. And you can't really, um, you can't get out of the game. You can't accomplish this shit without healing. I'm just sorry you can't. And healing is hard. It hurts. It hurts. Like this feeling of just like I'm tired of crying. I don't want to fucking cry anymore. And I'm not even a big crier. Like I don't even cry a lot. So I can imagine people who are really good at crying, who can get their shit out. That's why one of the reasons that they don't want to, do this work because again, it's hard. Healing is hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of emotional energy. And if you are undergoing other issues, like let's say that you have depression as an example. Let's say, you have anxiety as an example. Let's say, you know, you struggling to manage capitalism because it's kicking you in the A's, right? Let's say any of those are your issues and problems. Well, guess what? It's going to be even fucking harder. It's going to be even harder. So, like, I really want to recommend as strongly as possible that you take that healing part as the most serious of what you need to do. So on one of the episodes, I had talked about how um, I had worked with these white women, and I had worked with these white women, who they wanted to work and focus on anti-racism. And as I got to, know them very, very quickly, I recognized that, being a racist was the least of their problems. the 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 things that they problems, the shit they need to like really deal with and worry about, is they needed to heal from trauma and abuse, right? That they had, because they had a lot. And I'm gonna tell y'all, black people, we have post traumatic slave syndrome. Yes, we have that shit. But white people, they are the ones who perpetrated it. They're the ones who invented slavery. If you think that we got healing to do as black people, listen, white people got a lot of shit to do too. And until all of us undergo the work of healing in a serious way, we're gonna keep on coming up on the same things, and answering or asking a lot of the same questions over and over. The answer lies inside of us. And the thing inside of us that we get the opportunity to address, that we should really put some energy and effort into addressing, is the shit that happened to us, is our shitty parents, right? Or the shitty grandparents, or the shitty brother, or the shitty big sister, or the shitty whoever human, right? That did you dirty, that made you think you were worthless, that treated you bad, that didn't love you, that didn't care. Like, that is the shit that we gotta touch and examine and deal with. That's the shit. If we don't touch and examine and deal with that stuff, listen, because we are in a whole narcissistic society, right? You're going to hear me say that over and over and over. Our whole society is like that. So all of the narcs in our lives are sitting around watching the narcs that are in all of our lives. They watching them get away with all kind of shit. It's like, y'all don't know if I'm like extremely elderly, right? And I was watching TV a long time, right? So I've been watching TV since the 70s, right? And the shows that we was watching in the 70s, we was watching shows from the 60s, shows from the 50s, right? Lucy and Honeymooners and all that stuff. Now, in addition to watching those shows, right? Um, Remembering the stuff that they used to say, and that they used to teach. Uh, they've been doing this forever, trying to get us distracted, trying to keep us, striving for stuff that doesn't matter. This is ongoing. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. And what we get the opportunity to do, right, is use our own critical thinking. That's why radical change leadership is a thing, because there's a gap, right? Because we keep on being gaslit by our own leadership. And when I say our own leadership, I'm very specifically talking about people in charge, people running shit, right? The people who are running shit. The people who are running shit are doing fuck shit. And they've been doing it. And they've been doing it the entire time. And we've been putting up with it. Because guess what? They conditioned us to put up with it. Because really, remember the Brady Bunch? You can't fight City Hall. Why can't you fight City Hall? You can't fight City Hall because they'll gas you. They'll gas you. Our government will gas you. We all know it. Nobody's fucking with America. Ain't nobody fucking with any city or city that got more than 10,000 people in it. Ain't nobody fucking with it. Now, I live in a small town, and we don't even have a cops. We have a county sheriff, but I live in a small town. And you know, We ain't worried about stuff like that because, people just trying to survive. People trying to pay their damn bills, pay their mortgage, and do what they gotta do and call it a motherfucking day. That's what people trying to do in the small town. That's what we trying to do over here. I had a client and she was from the same town where that guy made the video or whatever, and for that song. And every time I would say from a small town, she would get so offended. And then one day she was like, I don't know, blah blah blah, but it just really bothers me when you do that. I'm like, why? Like, it's a song. He made a song trying to say small towns was about all this, bullshit and whatever. I live in a small town. I disagree with him. I'm not saying, you know, my town is perfect, nothing like that. But I'm just saying small towns is not full of a whole bunch of people ready to harm folks. Like, the fuck? Like, that's that guy. That's them people and that shit in them. So anyway, she was like, I hate when you say that. It just really bothers me. I'm like, okay, well, I live in a small town, and that's another thing. As a leader, right? Leaders are the biggest phony, fake ass people who don't like to be authentic. But it goes back to narcissists are always faking the funk. They faking everything, right? They faking their whole ass life, and they don't want nobody to find out what's the real deal. And that's how it looks, right? It looks like that. It looks like gaslighting so that people never get it figured out. It looks like gaslighting, right? So that people never get it figured out. So that people always stay confused. People always stay wondering, is it me? Blah, blah, blah. No, it's not you. You're being fucking gaslit. You're being fucking gaslit. And I've told this before, like, one of the things that used to happen when I was a kid is people used to say, oh, that's just how your mom is. That's just how she is. And I used to be like, well, how she is bullshit. And how is it that y'all think, or even if you don't think this is okay, why do you just let it happen? So, okay, this is how my mom is. She's just abusive. She's just harmful. She's just mean. She's just cruel. Okay, so that's the end of it. That's just how she is. And I'm just supposed to deal with it. So, according to a lot of the experts who've been, not only studying narcissism, but talking about it for, a long time, right? That is the typical. That's how they get away with it. Because the people in their life don't do shit about it. They enable the narcissist. They enable it, right? And some people enable it because they just a weak ass motherfucker, and that's all they got. They can't do no better. They ain't got no better. They are no better. And again, when it comes to narcissism, right? Narcissists are always um using everybody as a tool. And the tool is whatever it is that they need it to be. If you in a narcissist life, that narcissist is using you for whatever it is. And sometimes it's stuff that you can't really understand. Like, it is like like, I remember when my aunt decided that she was gonna read my mom's email and delete shit. And my mom was so upset about that. Now, it was my mom, and I was like, you know, I'm the one who my mom do the most fuck shit too. But I ain't gonna let y'all fuck her over just because she's a fucked up person. And so I used to always come to my mom's rescue when other people used to do fuck shit. Well, now looking back, well, her whole damn family was narcissism, except for not one of her sisters wasn't, and I don't think my grandmother was. But like, the fuck shit is the stuff they all was used to doing to each other anyway, way before I got in the damn picture. So then it kind of was like, oh, my mom is just kind of like using me because she already knew what the fuck it was. She already knew what it was. So my mom and her sisters had this big history of doing all kind of horrible shit to each other as children. And I remember, my different aunts telling me little things about each other, right? So Aunt number one would tell me something about aunt number two. Aunt number two would tell me something about aunt number four. Aunt number four, like constantly. And it goes back to, this is why I always said when I was young, I never wanted to have any siblings. And I was so fucking glad that I didn't have any. Because I was like, if this is what a sibling relationship is about, this shit sucks. And my best friend, her sisters, when she was younger, they seemed like they was more like trying to stick together or whatever. But like now over the years, I see her mom was a narcissist too. And her mom did the same shit um with her sisters to make them not, have no kind of relationship that my grandmother and my grandfather did with his with my aunts. It's the same shit. Um and yeah, it's the same shit. Different day, but it's the same exact shit. And it's fucked up, but that's how they roll. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate how narcissism shows up in families. It's unfortunate that we don't heal so that we don't continue to pass it on to our kids. And that's why I'm doing this work. That's why I'm out here, in these streets. And when I recognize that, oh shit, it was narcissistic abuse that I've been dealing with my entire fucking life, not just not just, you know, in business and professional relationships, not just at the job, but my whole family, um, was a narcissist family. And one of the things too, here's another thing that I discovered with uh this study, is that often you could have a lot of narcissists and I'll say narc apologists in your family at one time. And what you will notice is if you have people in your family that are like no contact, um, there is a chance that they're not contact because of narcissistic abuse. And they might not call it that. They might not have known what it was. But for whatever reason, they decided to disengage, right? Um, with their family and jet. And I'm telling you, I have a cousin that, and she was one of my favorite cousins. So my mother has um, some first and second cousins, and third cousins. My grandmother has some second cousins. Um, and so my mom grew up on my mom's side. She has first cousins from my grandfather, and my one cousin, she don't really fuck with her mom, and she never really fucked with her. And I couldn't understand because this one aunt is so sweet and blah 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 blah. And I never asked her whatever whatever. And I don't really know. She was a daddy's girl more so. She really loved her father a lot. And after her father died, she basically didn't really fuck with her mom that much. Um, Now her sibling, um, you know, was more like living with the mom and helping the mom and blah 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 blah. But then I had a cousin who, um, one of my favorite cousins. She was pretty and glamorous, but she moved to somewhere that seemed very weird. First she like married an older man. I don't remember ever what happened with that. How long they stayed married or whatever. But she literally left the family and never came back. Never came back. I want to say I may have seen her at a couple of funerals or something like that, but she rolled. So I know for sure that her family is some narcs. And I have a whole ass thing that happened that now it's put so much shit into perspective. That happened, and it basically involves child abuse, a fucked up mother, fucked up grandmother, and one of the reasons I'm no contact with my family, or the main reasons I'm no contact with my family is they let a child molester, child predator come to a family reunion, didn't tell nobody. Now, the person was like 17 or maybe 19 at the time. I don't even remember now. Maybe they was 21 or 22. So they didn't have to come. They could have stayed the fuck home. But the mother and the grandmother was like, no, he's coming for whatever reason. And I stood there and I watched him the whole time. And I told my family that this was fucked up. And I'm sitting there like a damn bodyguard at the family reunion because there's a child predator and everybody acting like I'm crazy. No, no, no. Number one, I'm not crazy. Number two, y'all are fucked up. Why is a child predator coming to a space with a bunch of kids in it? Right? And why is this okay with y'all? Well, it's okay with y'all because y'all are fucked up. And y'all can be fucked up. I'm not, and I'm not allowing this. I'm not going for it, and I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care, and this is what it's going to be. And I'm fine with that. And I don't have to speak to not one of them motherfuckers because nobody's going to gaslight me and tell me there's nothing wrong with a fucking child abuser coming to a family reunion. Okay, then why didn't y'all say he was coming? So if this is, this is just how we roll, this is what we doing. Okay, so why y'all ain't tell nobody that he was coming? Because I goddamn sure wouldn't have come and I wouldn't have brought my child. And I would have told everybody, hey, listen, child predator that would literally, a child predator is coming to the family reunion. This is the kid name, the person name, and I'm not coming. But no, they hid it. And then everybody there tried to act like it was normal and okay. What the fuck? No. Why is it okay? Why is it okay? Did he ever apologize? Did he ever get treatment? Did his mother ever apologize? What happened to the child that we found out later that he had been abusing for years? And it was his own goddamn cousin. Like when I tell you, right, narcissism runs deep and people leave families and people are like, oh, you should speak to your family, you should do this. You don't know why the hell people have left their family, but I'm guaranteeing you a lot of that shit, it has to do with narcissism. It has to do with abuse. It has to do with secrets. It has to do with things that people will not either atone for or just won't apologize for. And the people who go no contact, they like, yeah, I'm done. Because those people are the people who choose themselves over the family. And that's the only way. Like, choose yourself over the family. If you don't choose yourself over your family, I mean, you don't really give a fuck about yourself. Period. Period. And that could be one of the things that's a symptom, right, of your narcissistic abuse, that you don't care enough about yourself or you don't have enough internal fortitude to fight for yourself or stick up for yourself because narcissists, and especially if they some kind of fucking borderline personality motherfucker done told you shit about yourself, like to make you think that you're crazy. And that's why like the gaslighting is so dangerous, and it's important to have this really good awareness about how gaslighting works. Because if you know how gaslighting works, then when somebody come on you with that bullshit, you're like, no, I ain't crazy. I'm not crazy. Like when I think about the times my mom beat me really bad, it never was for me doing anything. Like it never was for me doing anything. I was not a kid that did shit because I was number one being terrorized by my mom, right? So because I was being terrorized and harmed, I wasn't out here like trying to do anything. But it makes me think, right, that oh, well, she probably always thought I was doing some shit because she was always doing some shit. She probably thought I was being whatever, because that's what she was doing. Because again, it goes back to projection, right? Projection works both ways. It works positive and negative. So again, I remember my mom she used to lie all the time about everything, and she used to try to make me lie for her. And whenever the phone rang, I used to run to a different room. So because she would tell me to answer the phone and make me tell people different lies, like, and it was never fucking bill collectors. So like looking back, I'm like, it was just random people that she didn't feel like dealing with or whatever. It wasn't never like the bill collectors calling. It was never nothing like that. It was always people, and she'd be like, oh, tell this person I'm this, and tell this person that, tell this person I'm sick. I'm like, tell this person that, always trying to get me to lie, always trying to, and I wouldn't do it. I would go in the other room. I would say, my mom said, blah blah blah, and she'd be like, that's not what I meant, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, listen, I'm not trying to lie for you, and like I don't care that much about this and whatever. That wouldn't be the kind of stuff she would beat me over. She would beat me over like something spilled, or I just said something in a moment that she didn't like. But my mom was always trying to get me to tell lies for her. And I remember when I was in my 20s, she said, I made a decision today. I was like, what is it? She said, I just started, I'm going to stop lying. I was like, okay, good for you. 5 minutes later, the phone rang, and she told me to tell the person some lies. I said, that didn't last long. And she was like, well, it's going to be hard. I was like, well, everything is hard if you don't really try. Because I didn't see in no way that she was trying. She wasn't trying not to lie. She did not give a fuck. My mom would say what she want. And looking back, it makes sense. Because guess what? Nobody ever called her on it. Nobody ever said, hey, blah, blah, blah. So narcissists, a lot of them get away with shit because no one challenges them. No one calls them on anything. No one holds them accountable. And that's what people see out in the real world, and then they replicate that shit. Y'all remember that commercial? I'm going back to what I was going to say about TV. When I was a kid, there was a commercial, and it was a man, and he comes in the kid's room, and he finds drugs, and he says to the kid, where did you learn to do this? What is this? And he's like, I learned it from you, Dad. I learned it from you. So the dad knew he was a fucking druggie, right? And he knew he was a druggie. And so he just was basically trying to gaslight the kid, make the kid think, oh, you ain't pick up this habit from me. Well, if you doing drugs and it's making you cope, then your kid is going to do drugs and think they coping like that too, right? And so from the very beginning, this has been planned out, right? For narcissists to be able to get away with narking. They're able to get away with narking. And they're able to get away with it because this is our whole ass fucking society. Our whole society has let narcissists get away with the narking. So how is it that we are surprised that we have narcissists in our life, right? Well, I'm surprised because I just didn't see it. I knew I had abuse in my life. I knew that the abuse wasn't my fault. I knew the abuse was because my mom had problems. I did not know that narcissistic personality disorder was the problem. And it's my hope that this podcast will help everybody who has a narc in their sphere to be able to take the steps for yourself to detangle from the narc as much as you possibly can, right? Like it's not like, I'm not even going to lie and make it seem like, it's an easy process. I have this 2-year threshold with all my relationships. And 2 years is like basically the 2-year mark is when I know, oh shit, yeah, I can't fuck with this person no more. And it's when I pull the trigger. I usually probably say I probably know early on, but because you want to get a benefit of the doubt, because you want to blah, 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 right? You make the allowances. But I need to say, don't feel bad about that. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel no kind of way, because you have to recognize or at least acknowledge this is how we've been trained and conditioned. We've been trained and conditioned to ignore our pain. We've been trained and conditioned to allow narcissists to abuse us, and we do nothing about it. And we don't do nothing. It's not because we don't want to. It's because of the violence, right? What happens when you protest against your employer? You get fired. If you don't get fired, and a protest, and let's be clear on what is a protest. A protest is a complaint. A protest is you speaking up about the way you're being treated and letting the person know that you don't like it, right? A protest is you talking about your boundaries. And that's the last thing that a narc give a fuck about is boundaries. That's the absolute last thing they give a fuck about is boundaries. You're not gonna find a narcissist that cares about your boundaries. Not one little bit. Because they don't. They don't. Um, they not going to. They won't. You can pretty much take that shit to the bank. Take it to the bank that the narc don't give a fuck. Take it to the motherfucking bank. Because I'm telling you, that's how they are. They do not care. They do not have any feelings outside of how anything impacts them. They just don't. And in fact, you know, you are definitely wasting your time if you trying to change the narc in any way or think they're going to change. That is the most futile thing that you could literally have going because they don't care. They don't care. And you can't change them. You cannot fix them. And they're not going to listen to nothing you say any fucking way. And so, again, it's like not worth it. It's just not worth it. I would tell anybody that, you know, if you are like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, you know, with my life, like I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to change, I'm trying to look, you better get the hell away from any narc in your life because that they don't give a fuck about that. They don't care about that. And all they're gonna end up doing is hurting you. And you're gonna end up mad at yourself because you're gonna be like, damn, I can't believe I did this, that, or the other. You're gonna believe I can't believe I did this, that, or the other. And how do I know? Because I've been there. I've been there. I know what it is. But the thing I think that is the most deep is when you really have to hit that realization. They don't give a fuck about you. And there's nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do to make them care. There's nothing you could do to make them change. There's nothing you could do to make them not be the actual person they are, which is a person with a deeply, deeply disturbed mental state. This a deeply disturbed mental state. And it's a hard pill to swallow, definitely. But guess what? Once you start acknowledging what it is, it makes the path forward easier. Acknowledge your past. Face it. Sit in some of this pain and allow it to wash through. Allow your body to process it in your mind, and then take another step tomorrow. Hey, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for joining. This is how I'm managing my own radical change. And if you want help managing your radical change, all you got to do is download the Radical Change app, go to my stand store, go to my website, or just email me at hello@radicalchangellc.com. Hey, I'll see you next time on Managing My Own Radical Change from Trauma to Transformation.